Alrighty, guys, welcome to our week 6 live session. This week, we're going to be going to Spain. Just wanted to go ahead and right off the bat tell you guys we had a fantastic time in Chicago. We did send that message out. I got to meet Chef Catherine for the first time, and she's a lot cooler in person than she is on this tiny little screen. It was a very interesting experience just getting to really see everybody. We only get to see about this much of everybody every single team meeting that we have between the instructors and stuff. So seeing everybody stand up and in person was fantastic. If you guys have ever had Chef JD Ford for Cu101, he is giant. He's like 6'5". I'm only 5'7". I spend a lot of time next to him. I was like, can you go over there? Like, stop standing next to me. You make me look smaller here. But it was an amazing time getting to meet everybody. A little bit of housekeeping about this week. We did send out a message that some of the grading might be a little bit later. We are getting caught up with everything with that. So anything that we turn in now, we should be able to get it back to you within the next 48 hours. But there was some stuff. I know I had a couple of people reaching out to me being like, hey, like, you haven't graded my assignment yet. Unfortunately, we did kind of take Friday off essentially because we were in Chicago. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that. But other than that, we can just kind of jump into last week's assignment. I have been doing quite a bit of grading regarding the cassoulet and the ratatouille. And from what I've seen, you guys have done an amazing job on that assignment. Just overall, really beautiful reductions. You can see them along the side of the pot. The only thing that it seems people are still having a little bit of trouble with is knife cuts. And I understand it's a little bit difficult to try to cut those circular vegetables into squares or cubes, but it is one of those things that we have to practice. The easiest way to go about those is just kind of blocking them out. So if your vegetable looks like this, kind of cut off the edges and turn it into a square itself, and then you'll be able to just kind of go ahead and do that. But again, one of the things that I spoke on a few weeks ago was it looks like we're not quite familiar with our actual knife cut dimensions. So I keep getting knife cuts in between a small dice and a medium dice. And while it's perfectly fine, it's nice and uniform within each other, which is fantastic. We want to make sure that a medium dice is a medium dice and a small dice is a small dice, and then obviously a mince is a mince. I keep getting kind of in-betweens on these guys, so we want to make sure that we're following those. If you need that ruler, bring it out and just make sure that you are following that eighth of an inch, quarter inch, half inch kind of deal. Other than that, I mean, the assignments have looked beautiful. You guys are not overcooking the vegetables at all. You can still see the structure of them. They don't look like my daughter's food. The cassoulets have gotten beautiful, just crust all the way at the top. Nobody that I've seen so far has reduced the liquid on the beans all the way down where you get crunchy beans. So really pat yourselves on the back so far. We're making progress, but the knife cuts still need just a little bit more work, guys. Chef Catherine, anything that you've seen this week?
I agree. Just continually hone same, issues with knife cuts. Just keep on focusing. Use that ruler, like Chef Jerry said. It's there for help, right? It's there for a reason. Use it because there are reasons, right? We want to get the right mouth size, the right mouth feel. When we go too large or too small, that could either disappear or be too pronounced, right? In a specific recipe. So it's important that you're knowing those because chefs are going to want to see that when you get out in the industry. Other than that, I just see one hand up from Alexis.
Oh, hi, chefs. How are y'all? Okay, so I have two questions. The first one was I had reached out to Chef Jerry because I actually got stuck in Vegas, and I think I might have been in Chicago when y'all were there because I had a layover there too. And I turned in my week 4 homework late and I did tell him I was going to do it. When I took the test, there was no green check mark there, but it did show I took it, but it was no check mark there. And I wasn't sure if you still turn it in the same way, or is there another process that you have to go through when you turn it in like kind of late?
Knowledge checks. I'll hit this check.
And the homework and the knowledge checks.
Yeah, so basically this is great for past due knowledge checks, right? Those get, if you do one after the fact, after it's happened, after the week has passed, they will get updated the following Friday. We go in every Friday morning and override and check, make sure any test that was executed is accounted for. So you won't see that, and you'll see your grade, the grade populate, and that incorporate into your overall grade by the end of this week.
Okay, great. And my second question was, So, because I cooked everything, I got everything turned in last night real late. So the cassoulet, it was amazing. It tastes really good. I never had that before, but the turkey thighs came off the bone. Is that okay that it did that? Because the beans weren't dried out or anything. They weren't crunchy or chewy, but the turkey thighs actually came off the bone. Like they were, and I guess when I simmered it in the oven, it just, I don't know.
I mean, usually, remember, it's cooking, it's braising slowly for about 3 hours. So
Yeah.
you just had, it's going to have you're going to get tender meat, and you're braising it in liquid. Remember, braising makes it really, juicy and succulent and more tender. So
Yeah.
it's different than sauteing. So that will happen.
So it was okay that it came off the bone.
Yeah, you don't want better than it being raw.
Tough.
Yeah, no. I took a pan of it to work, and my job ate it all. They just was like, "This is really good." I never had that before in my life. And the ragu bolognese, instead of using ground pork, I used ground turkey with the ground beef, and I did put it in my narrative. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, then I'm good. Thank you.
All righty. Well, chef, shall I hit it? All right, we are going to Spain, like Chef Jerry said, and we're making paella, one of the classic dishes from the region, as well as tortilla española. All right, which is not a tortilla that we think about when we put a tortilla for a taco. All right, this is a completely different style of tortilla. I'm going to pull up the recipes and go over some things, and then we're going to hop into the culture and history after with Chef Jerry. So let's just knock this out. I want to start off with the paella. Actually, there's a few things that I want to talk about. First, as you see, we are going to be utilizing seafood. This is optional, but I highly recommend it. It's going to be a lot more flavorful of a dish if you get your hands on some clams, mussels, shrimp, and squid. Okay, so when we talk about shellfish, first of all, you can buy these frozen. Sometimes you'll find them in the frozen section. Obviously, fresh is delicious and better, but those are the options that you're going to find, either fresh or frozen. So just do your due diligence and look around. Of course, going to a local fishmonger, you're going to get some really high quality. So if you're fortunate enough to live near a coastal area that has a great fish section or a great fish supplier, go hit them up and get your hands on some beautiful product. You want to make sure that you're cleaning those clams and mussels properly. All right. Which means there's going to be a little beard on your mussel. All right. So I'm going to show you a photo of this so that you know what this looks like. All right. This is what that mussel can look like. And this is called the beard. All right. What you want to do is take your hands, right? You're going to have your thumb and, index finger holding on that mussel. You're going to take your other hand. You're going to take that beard and pull it this way towards the hinge. Pull that down to get that off, right? Because nobody wants to eat that. That doesn't look that good, right? Pretty gross. So you want to make sure you're pulling that off. So as you can see, this is exactly how you grip. You can do it like that. You can grip it like this. You can grab it like that. But you're just grabbing that and pull it down towards the hinge. All right. Another little thing about the paella recipe. Saffron. Saffron is very expensive. All right, there's some alternatives that you can use, but I want to just show you what saffron is so that you know what this is, because it's important to know what things are when we're cooking with it. Saffron comes from the crocus, a flower. This is why it's so expensive, because it is hand plucked out of there, the stylus, right? The stigma, I believe. And those are plucked out by hand. So if you get your hands on some, like I said, it's going to be pricey. You can probably find some alternatives that are used would be annatto seed. Gives another hue to this. The easiest one that you're probably going to have and you'll use later on in India week is turmeric. It's going to give the yellow hue. It's not going to add too much flavor. Saffron flavor itself is very unique, all right? But the turmeric will give you that color at least. So that's the two little things that I wanted to tell you about. Now let's hop into this recipe. Chef Jerry, did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about in regards to that?
Just very quickly, guys, if you're using turmeric, do be careful. That flavor can get a little bit overpowering. You want it to be super subtle, but if you know that there's turmeric in there, there's probably too much of it.
Yes.
So just do be very mindful of that.
100%. You're just going for the color, right? Not a lot. It's going to get really earthy. Yes, hand up. I see it. 1 second.
Chastity.
Yep, Chastity.
Hi, Chef. Where do you get the saffron from? Like what store? Like a wholesale store or Trader Joe's?
I actually
Walmart?
do think Trader Joe's might sell it in a really small little circular container. Some Trader Joe's will have that. Otherwise, a spice shop will have it, or you're going to want to order it online. But,
Okay.
you know, like I said, it can be pretty pricey.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We got another hat. Jeremy.
Okay, so, and for the sausage, we can use this, right? This is the sausage. Yeah, this is like the chorizo sausage. The dry
Yep,
sausage.
hard cured dried chorizo sausage is what you want, definitely.
And then I have some shrimp that is already frozen, but I could use that if I want to, but it's not, but it's already been like frozen, but it's already peeled and divined and it's raw. And I have to cook
Perfect.
that.
You just want to take that out and defrost it.
Okay, if you want to use shrimp, but if I don't have mussels or clams or anything and or saffron.
Yeah, again, these ingredients are optional. It's just going to add some more of that flavor profile of a seafood paella. So the clams, anything that says optional, it really means that it's optional. It's just going to give you a different flavor profile.
And we're using fresh tomatoes this week for this recipe. We're using fresh, right?
Yes.
You have to chop them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You're on it. Excellent. Eric.
Yeah, for the chorizo,
I know that you don't eat
I was
pork.
wondering. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Can I make my own chorizo, or can you do that?
Well, this one is, you know, the Spanish style is dried and cured. So I would try and find a dry cured beef based sausage, or just it's only 2 ounces. It's going to add some of that umami to it, but you know, it's not the end of the world if you don't have that.
But okay, so can I just make some regular chorizo,
Well,
or try to get that?
yeah, it's dry cured, right? So it's really different than for you to make chorizo right now. That won't be ready for months down the road because it's got to be salted and dry cured. It's going to become like a hard salami almost like.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not fresh chorizo.
Okay.
So very different flavor profile and texture.
Okay, I'll try to find some.
Okay, cool. But yeah, you could look for.
Okay, I'll try to find some.
Yeah, hard salami that's beef based would be a good option. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Perfect. Kieran.
I was wondering, can I just exclude the the clams and the mussels altogether? I'll use the shrimp, but
Yes, as stated, these are optional.
okay.
One more hand up. Can't see the name.
Sharice, go ahead.
Okay, so I just had a quick question. Can we use quail hogs or are we specifically using clams?
Did you say quail
Or cherry-
hog?
Yeah.
Little net, whatever clams you can get your hands on, get it.
I'm available to all of them. I live in Massachusetts, so
Oh, have
I
fun.
just want to.
Get it, and enjoy
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my advice.
Okay. Just making sure.
You're totally cool. All
Okay.
right. Awesome. All right, so let's hop into this. Now that we've got these base layers done, let's rock and roll with this. So you're gonna take those mussels and clams if you're using them, a little bit of water. You don't want to add too much water. You don't want to drown these, right? You're steaming them. Just steam them until they open, right? Now, that flavor is going to leach out into the water, the cooking water of the sea, right? And the seafood. So you want to save that water, strain it, okay? Add enough stock to make 2 cups, all right? Otherwise, you're just using 2 cups of stock, all right? Next, add the saffron or turmeric if you're using it. Next, you're gonna break down your leg quarters. If you're, or buying thighs and legs independently, that's also fine, or a combination of those. All of those are gonna be okay. But always getting the chance to break it down helps. You're gonna brown that chicken, right? As always, we wanna see beautiful color development. Remove, set aside. Next, you're taking that same pan, right? We've developed flavor in that pan. You're gonna saute the onion, red and green pepper, the onion, the garlic, the chorizo, just until soft. Then you're gonna hit it with your tomatoes and rosemary, and cook that off. It's just gonna, just those tomatoes are gonna cook off a little bit, reduce that. Next, you're adding your rice, okay? Stir to combine. Then you're gonna add that stock or stock mixture into the pan, add some salt and pepper to taste, all right? Next, we're hopping into the chicken. You're gonna take that browned chicken, all right, seared chicken, and put it into the pan. As it is mentioned, you wanna make sure that you're arranging this nicely. Personally, Chef Jerry, my thoughts on this is that the shrimp and the squid should be added later. Otherwise, they are gonna be overcooked, all right? I would throw those in at that second 20-minute mark. Otherwise, you're gonna have really overcooked shrimp and squid, if you are using that. All right, you want beautiful, tender seafood, right? You don't want hard and rubbery. So add that in the second half. That's my personal opinion. If you're not using it, you don't even have to worry about it because you're just gonna arrange that chicken nicely. Bring to a simmer, cover and put in a 350-degree oven for 20 minutes, all right? Alternatively, you can cook this on the stovetop, but you gotta keep a tight eye on that, all right? What can happen is you can burn the base. Now, I will tell you a little bit thing about socarat, which is traditional in paella, which is the crunchy, beautiful, delicious rice that gets formed on the bottom of that pan. This is what socarat looks like. As you can see, if you ever made rice, there's tons of beautiful little crunchy bits. Some places actually make it just for the socarat, all right? And they're known for the socarat component. The difference between socarat and burning is that one tastes delicious and is crunchy and the other one is gross, all right? We don't want it. Burning that is gonna make your whole entire paella taste burned, right? We don't want that. Yes, it's just like the Iranian dish as well, right? So sometimes you can develop this, otherwise you can't, but you're gonna be able to develop that when you're doing stovetop versus in the oven, all right? Hopping back in, again, you don't wanna burn this. After 20 minutes, remove the pan from the oven or check the stovetop pan, check moisture level, right? If the rice is still really hard, you might need to add some more stock to that, all right? It should have some body to it. It should not be soupy. It should be reducing. All right. At that point, that's when I would add my shrimp and squid if I were doing it, because you're going to be, going in for another 10 minutes. Maybe you want to put it in for like 15, but that shrimp and squid will cook off in those 10 minutes, definitely. Again, checking out to make sure that that's going on, and sprinkle your peas over your rice. Add the clams and mussels if you're using them. And you're only letting it stand for 10 minutes after that. Sorry. So I'm going to take that back about what I said about when you want to add your shrimp and squid. Just go in after about, you just want, I'm trying to just read through this so I don't get anybody confused here. Go in at 10 minutes after at that 20, you're going in, you're starting it at 10 minutes, add your squid and shrimp. All right. That's when you're going to want to do that.
So in other words, just let it cook the last 10 minutes of the 20.
Yeah. Cause then it's going to still continue to sit in that 10 minutes. It'll be fine because you're going to be simmering, right? It's simmering. It's going to be hot. Chef Jerry, thoughts?
Yeah, guys, if you look at this recipe as a whole, step 12 to 14, essentially, reading that's a 30-minute time frame. So if you add the shrimp during step 11, your shrimp are going to sit in there for 30 minutes. That's a very long time. If you've ever sauteed shrimp stovetop, it takes about 4. So while we're not at that super direct heat, we're simmering nice and slow. That is why about 10, 15 minutes or so for this recipe is what's going to get you that beautiful shrimp.
Exactly. 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to have beautiful shrimp. The squid is going to cook almost instantly. That's cooking in 5 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. So hit that 10, 15, you'll be set. And then sprinkle the peas over the rice. Those are just cooked green peas, and cover loosely and garnish with lemon wedges. All right. It's going to be beautiful, delicious, and really tasty. Does anybody have any questions in regards to that? Again, sorry for the confusion.
Not yet.
All right. No, but just 10 minutes in and throw in your shrimp and squid. And that's all you need to know. Eric.
Yeah, you said 10, 15 minutes for good shrimp, right? But if you were doing it on the stovetop, is it the same about time, 10, 15 minutes too?
Yep,
It's all the same? Okay. All
totally.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
He asked some good questions.
definitely. Felicia,
Question. I have a paella pan, the big round pan. Can I use that?
totally. You should get it. Have fun with it.
Okay.
Guys,
What kind of pan?
It's a paella pan. I'll show a photo of it.
Okay.
while she's looking that up, guys, very quickly, if you guys can see me, if your shrimp, as you cook them, the longer you cook them, the more your shrimp is going to curl up. So basically, when it gives you that C shape, that's when it's cooked properly. Once it turns into a O, it's overcooked. So you'll see it on your shrimp. Once it curls up too much, you know it's going to be a little bit rubbery. So just do be mindful of that. Just try to shoot for that C shape on the shrimp.
This is what a paella pan looks like. It has these little divots in the bottom
Okay.
and red little handles on the sides. And they can range
Okay.
from small to humongous. Personal for 2 versus and 1 for 40.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Shannon.
What's the lemon wedges?
You just want to slice your lemon into a wedge shape, right? So just like you get when you get a wedge on a drink, right? You see, you get like a lemon or a lime wedge. That's all you want.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Darian.
Hi, yes, chef. I have 2 questions. What could we use as an alternative pan for the papaya pan instead of using that? Could we use like something else?
Yeah, and any oven safe pan will do the trick because if you're doing the oven method. Saute pan, that has a good enough bottom there. Depth.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. And then the second question is, how could I cut my serving sizes in half? What conversion could I use?
What you want to do is you just take your recipe. You take all of the. I'll just pull it up and I'll just show this. So we're gonna.
Chef, I have a document that cuts every single recipe this term in half.
Sure.
I can send it to you.
Perfect. Thank you. But yeah, you'll just be dividing it all by 2. But Chef Jerry's got it, so I'll send that out as well.
All right. Thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. All right. Are there more questions or? I think so. Felicia.
Yeah, Felicia.
Sorry.
Oh, I guess that's a no. Shannon, was that from before?
Yeah, that's from before.
All right. Charisse, from before or new?
No.
Okay.
She's got a new question.
All right.
All right, so I have saffron threads. Do I keep them whole or can I grind them? Is it just something I decide to put in the pot or?
You're going to put it in. It's just going to be soaking in that liquid and you're just going to throw them in. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, no, you're cool.
Chef, real quick, are we covering this when we cook it or no?
Yes, it is partially covered.
Partially covered the whole time?
If it's in, on the stove top. If you're in the oven, you are covered.
Jeremy?
So can you cook this the paella on the stovetop as well? Can you do that as well?
Yeah, so for the paella, as we mentioned, you're either going to cook it stovetop, right? The whole thing, but you have to keep a tight eye on it so you don't burn the bottom. Otherwise, you're bringing it to a simmer and then you're placing it in the oven for 20 minutes.
So you can do the whole entire recipe by the stove if you wanted to.
You just have to monitor it a little bit more.
Okay.
In a restaurant setting, you could see people doing it in an oven because you're not having to keep your eye on it. It's less active cook time. Cool. All righty, let's.
Okay, never mind.
No, go ahead.
So if we do cook it on the oven, I'm trying to figure out how, because I know one of my instructors told me that when I cooked my rice one time, he said I stirred it too much, so it didn't cook right. So I'm trying to figure out if we're watching it on the stove, like how do we like do we take a spoon and just hit the bottom of the pan every like couple minutes or what?
You don't want to do it every couple minutes, but you do want to check it. You shouldn't be stirring, right? When we stir a starch like rice, that starch continues to break down and release. And that's, why you'll get not properly cooked rice. Just take a check, right? You're just going to open that, take that lid off. Yep, exactly. Chef Jerry?
Just go like this, grab your spoon and just move it a little bit. Take a look at the bottom, see where your water level is, and that's all you got to do. There's no need to like lift up half of the rice to look at the bottom.
Okay, just keep an eye on it. You don't want it burning.
Exactly.
Okay.
And no stirring, because also remember, you're going to be arranging your chicken on top. So once you put those chicken, legs and thighs, and if you're using other ingredients on there, that's going to sit like that so that the presentation is full.
Okay, so just monitor the heat then.
Yep.
Okay.
Guys, this is also one of those weeks that we're going to be looking at your presentation heavily. We have not put a lot of emphasis into that so far this term. I do want to let you guys know, start plating, please. It's not on the photo requirements or anything, but when you go out to a restaurant, you're not going to be serving your ratatouille in pots. You're not going to be serving anything inside of its cooking vessel. Everything should be on a plate, nice and beautiful, rim of the plate nice and clean. Wipe those guys down. Don't have any smudges. Make sure that as you're transferring food, if a little bit falls off, that's perfectly fine. Just wipe it off. Don't take that picture like that. This paella is something that should look beautiful. It should look nice and uniform. And when you think about the way it's traditionally served, they bring out that giant paella pan to a table and people serve themselves. So you want to be able to do that this week. Make it look nice. Don't have it hit the table and have rice on top of shrimp and just stuff looking all over the place. That is why on there, I believe it's step 11, it says arrange beautifully or attractive arrangement, something like that. So really, really put that chef touch onto it. Make it look nice. That's what we're here for. We put our art onto plates, not walls.
I love it. Yeah. Deborah.
Okay, yes. My question is, I'm on Amazon now looking at the paella pans.
Paella.
There's
yeah.
a paella,
There you
paella.
go.
So there's a lot of descriptions to them. Is there anything specific we looking? Is it just because they range from anywhere between $23 and $169 or whatever. So is it just a non-stick oven safe pan? Is that fine? I don't.
They're generally not non-stick. They don't have that the texture for a non-stick pan. It's just a regular stainless one. I would just go for the cheaper one.
Okay.
Just Chef Jerry, do you have any advice?
I'm looking at it right now. Basically, the only real difference in these, Deborah, is that from what I can see here is that the bigger the pan, the more expensive it's going to be.
Okay, so the 20. Oh, it's one that says non-stick paella pan for $23 or something. Is that fine? Or it should not be non-stick?
It should be metal bottom. It should have like that not silver. Yeah, I guess that like kind of silver looking color to it.
Okay.
Like a regular pan. Usually paella pans are not that non-stick black surface that you would see with like an egg pan.
Okay, I see one then. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so you want that steel.
Okay, gotcha.
Chastity.
Can you use a cast iron skillet?
Yeah.
It'll work.
Okay.
But remember, you just don't often use cast iron skillets to do that type of cookery.
Okay.
You're not typically going to cook liquids inside a cast iron.
You said I don't want to cook liquids inside of a cast iron?
Usually, that's not what you do with them.
I'll just buy one. I'll just buy a skillet. Not well.
Or if you have a oven safe skillet and you want to do it, you can do it. If you have just a stovetop skillet, do it stovetop and use your pan.
I have an oven safe skillet. but I was just wondering about the cast iron as well.
Yeah, I would just do it in the skillet. You're gonna have your bet. That's gonna be the best option for that.
Okay. Thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. All righty. So let us hop into tortilla española. Ready to rock it. We're hopping into the next one. This is actually one of my favorite dishes. First time I had it over in Spain, I absolutely, completely and totally fell in love with it. It's eggs and potatoes and onions. Like, what's not to like, right? What are you gonna do? You're gonna get yellow potatoes, Yukon Gold. This is important. Do not use russet. Do not use Idaho potatoes. We know the difference, right? Waxy versus starchy, right? Certain potatoes have certain applications. French fries, you use one type. Mashed potatoes, you use another, right? Tortilla español, you use Yukon Gold, right? Yellow potatoes, waxy potatoes. They're gonna hold their shape. They're not gonna break down. That's what you're looking for. All right, so what do you need? You need yellow potatoes, onion, medium dice. Both of those are medium dice. Again, we're gonna be looking at those knife cuts as Chef Jerry mentioned. 6 eggs beaten, and you're gonna whip those until they get frothy. All right, frothiness is the key. That pretty simple, pretty straightforward, low cost ingredients, which is beautiful. And you're gonna just hit that medium heat, add 4 ounces olive oil. Seems like a lot, but trust me, this is part of the flavor. Olive oil, Spain, it's all about getting that flavor in there. Sweat onions and potatoes, remember sweating, right? You wanna start off sweating, and then you wanna increase that, just get them cooked, right? Get them starts to cook up. Then you're gonna increase that heat to high, and get a little bit of golden color on there, all right? Remove from the heat, set aside. Whisk those eggs, like I said, frothy, all right? We wanna see that foam on top. You don't wanna have little parts where you've not properly mixed your eggs and you see the whites, right? And not fully mixed in. That makes a really bad omelet, first of all, really bad scrambled eggs. It's not proper technique. So we want to make sure that you're whipping those eggs, all right? Get some air incorporated to make sure it's all homogeneous, right? That's what we do, homogeneous, all the same consistency. You don't want to have little splotches of clear whites in there. Salt and pepper, and then you're going to add those cooked potatoes and eggs to potatoes and onions to the eggs, all right? Stir to combine. Then you're taking your 8-inch skillet over high heat. Again, it's important that you're paying attention to the size because you want to get the right depth here of your actual finished tortilla española. This should not look like an omelet in the sense that it's super thin, right? This is gonna have some body, it's gonna be thick. Add 3 ounces olive oil, add your egg and potato mixture together, and reduce that heat to low, okay? This is important, slow and slow. You're gonna just gently cook those eggs and get them to set, all right? Edges are gonna start to get a little bit of golden brown, right? That's when you know that you're starting to set a bit more, all right? Those eggs are gonna set, that's what we wanna see. Next, once it becomes firm, you're gonna take a plate. Just sounds a little crazy, but have faith, all right? And it's not the easiest thing, but with more time, you'll get better at this. You take a plate, a large enough plate, right? That's gonna cover your whole skillet, right? Your pan. On top, all right? And you flip, okay? That is how you flip that, right? You're putting your plate on here, you've got your thing, and it's a 1-2, all right? Make sure that that plate is staying in contact with the ridge of the edge of your pan, your skillet, all right? That's important that is closed there, okay? Otherwise, you can have a potential mess, all right? It just flips upside down. You slide that tortilla right back into the pan. Uncooked is going down now first, right? Because you just flipped it over. Then it slid back into the pan. You continue to cook it. If you need to make a little hole to get some of that more egg to set and cook, go for it. And then again, another flip back and allow it to fully set. It's going to be golden brown. Your egg should be cooked through, right? You don't want to be serving raw, runny eggs. This is not a loose omelet, okay? This is a fully set tortilla española. And there you go. Season, salt and pepper, and that's about it. You can let it sit. This can be consumed hot, room temperature, or cold, which is the beauty of it. Absolutely delicious. And that's all we got. Chef Jerry, any tips, tricks?
Yeah, very quickly. I cannot emphasize like how much you guys really need to not be scared of that flip. Chef Catherine saying just 1-2, that's really it. Do not hesitate and stay like this for too long. Remember, there's a lot of olive oil in this. So for those of you that love to cook barefoot and with slides, I wish you would this week because you are going to burn your feet. So make sure that you guys are wearing shoes in the kitchen first and foremost, and make sure that you just go. It's really just here, as quick as possible. If that oil leaks, it's going to make a mess. Your stove is going to get nasty. It's going to hit the floor. And as I said, those of you that like to be cooking in slides and just no socks on, watch those toes. I do not want to hear anybody on the narrow, chef, I burnt my toes this week, because please, I'm really asking you guys, be very careful with this. There's a lot of hot oil and it's a scary thing. So just do not hesitate, just go.
100%. And I want to back up Chef Jerry on that. I've seen a lot of bare feet as well. Guess what, guys? I'm impressed with your courage, and your courageousness of doing that. You don't have any fear of having a knife drop and cut a toe off? Because that'll happen.
I'll give you guys a quick horror story. So in kitchens, a lot of the times when you're working and you're working in a kitchen that like provides a knife for you, you'll have these like knife guards up on a wall. I had one once that it was broken. So the knife that I let go, it fell through. Obviously our chef didn't get that taken care of. So it literally hit my foot and it ripped through my shoe. I wear Crocs in the kitchen, so they're obviously not super hard or anything, but it literally just like slid through my shoe. Fortunately, it did not hit my toes or anything, but I had to get new shoes after that. But I mean, you can imagine if my foot was a couple, 3 inches more forward, it would have taken off 2 of my toes. So be very, very careful with your knives. Make sure that you're protecting your feet at all times. And it's scary stuff. We're working around a lot of sharp objects, a lot of hot stuff. And one of the things that I cannot emphasize once you get out into the industry is communication. As awkward as it might be to be screaming behind you, it is a key thing that you need to be mindful of. Somebody turns around while they're holding a knife, they stab you in the gut. Stuff happens. I can tell you guys so many horror stories that I've seen. I've seen somebody's foot literally peel off. So yeah, be careful in the kitchen and protect those feet. Other than that, enjoy this recipe. It's fantastic. It tastes amazing. And if you notice, there's not many ingredients here. You have onions, olive oil, potatoes. Those are your 3 things that are giving you all of that flavor. So that olive oil is key to the beautiful flavor that you're going to be getting this week.
Awesome. Yeah. Even if taking that skillet before you even start, you're starting your meat up, get your pan and put a plate over it and just see what it feels like with nothing inside, just so you know that movement and understand that you can do it. Right. And like Chef Jerry said, go with gusto. Don't be fearful. Just go for it. Right. Fast and smooth, and wear shoes. All right, chef.
I was thinking the same thing, because I was thinking, make sure before I start that my plate is large enough to cover the pan. Yeah.
100%.
It makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. All righty.
So no questions on that. So let us get right into some of the history of Spain. So very quickly, I'm gonna share my screen with you guys right away. I have some pictures over here that I need to get rid of. But if we take a look at this map, let me bring you guys up over here. We have Spain over here. So this is all of Europe. We're going to be, we've gone here, we're going over here now. So we're going to be talking about Spain this week. This program did have Spain and Portugal together, but it did kind of break it off. So now we just talk about Spain, and the food's a little bit better here anyway. So if you didn't know where it is, it's right there. And take a look at this right here. I want to show you guys this tiny little piece right here. This giant continent down here is Africa. If you look here, there is a 6-mile difference between Morocco and Spain. Do I have a picture of that? I do not have it in here. I thought I did. But basically, if you're standing on either side of this, you can actually see the other continent, which is actually really crazy. It's like so close to Africa. But let's get into a little bit of the history here. So the population of Spain is 49 million, and Portugal actually has 11 million people. To the northeast is France. So in this region here, you can imagine how amazing the food is going to be here. You have where France and Spain come together. You're going to have a lot of beautiful stuff there. But if we go back in history, during the Middle Ages, there was the Arabic kingdoms that controlled the southern half of this peninsula, and the European kingdoms controlled the northern half. So that is why in Spanish and in Spain, you have a lot of African influence, not only in the spices, as well as the food, the people, but also in the language. There's a lot of words in Spanish that actually come from Arabic influence. So you look at a word like ojalá, which basically means like, by the will of God, essentially, if God wills it. And Allah is not the God that the Spanish are used to praying to, right? So words like that, almohada, any word that has that kind of sound into it is most likely going to come from that Arabic influence. The Arabic people were here from the year 711, sound familiar, all the way up until the year 1492. So they were there a very, very long time. Yeah, so many ingredients in southern Spain, they came from Persia, which is now modern day Iran and Iraq, and as well as India. So stuff like cinnamon, almonds, bananas were brought over. In the year 1516, actually, Spain became united. So that was when all of the kingdoms kind of decided that they wanted to become a country. In the year 1492 was the year that the last Arabic king was taken out of Spain. But then even then, these people were still kind of fighting with each other to try to figure out the capital of Spain, because you had so many little countries essentially kind of living together. But when they united, they couldn't figure out who was going to be the ruler, the capital. You kind of had that same situation happen in Central America that we talked about during week 2. Very shortly, all of those little countries kind of wanted to unite to become one country, but they just couldn't come into agreement on what would become the capital and stuff. Fortunately, Spain was able to do that. And that's why you have this massive continent now, although there's still some warring in there between kind of the Barcelona region and the rest of Spain. With Western Spain, they started importing a lot of crops from the Americas, and that also influenced the cuisine. If you think back to Christopher Columbus, right? He sailed over to the Americas in 1492. I believe Christopher Columbus was he Italian? Was he French? I can't remember off the top of my head. It was one of those. But he actually ended up going to Spain and asking them for boats to head over there. So the Spanish were actually the ones that provided the ships and stuff for Christopher Columbus to sail westward. Central and northern Spain has a lot of influence from France, as we talked about over here. You can see that it's connected. It's the only real country other than Portugal that's connected to it. Obviously, Morocco to the south, but it's a lot of ocean all the way around here. And then you do have the southern, southeastern part of Spain, which influences from trade of the Mediterranean and northern Africa. And if you look at the Mediterranean Sea, guys, there's nowhere out, right? The only place out is this kind of little 6-mile division between Morocco and Spain. So you can just imagine the boats traveling around here, how much trade there is, how much stuff from Turkey, Syria, Israel is kind of ended up in Greece. And as we head into the Middle East and Middle Eastern week, you guys will see that food doesn't look very different. It's the exact same food called 16 different ways there. Who originated it? Who knows? But we'll get to that when we get there. Just a little bit of a sneak peek there. But one of the things that you'll see in a lot of Spanish cuisine is that there's a lot of food from the New World. So as I said, when Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas, the Spanish explorers and settlers brought back exotic and new crops such as tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, sugarcane, cocoa. These foods became staples in Spanish cuisine and eventually throughout all of Europe. And we've talked about this before. We keep saying it, but Italy without the tomatoes, what would it be? Italy without the noodles from Asia, what would it be? Just questions that have been lost in time, right? We'll never know. But as we continue on with this here, the meal structure of Spain is a little bit different than what we might be used to here, and also with what you might find in the rest of Europe. So most of Europe and the United States have this kind of 3-meal structure, not Spain. The Spaniards decided, no, thank you. I'm going to eat just all day. I'm going to have breakfast, which is typically going to be just kind of like a piece of bread with some tomato on it. I do have a picture of that over here. Something super light. They don't have a very heavy breakfast. Let me share my screen with you guys one second. I'll just leave it shared actually for a little bit as we continue to talk here. But it's just a piece of tomato, some bread, some crushed up tomatoes, some bread, a little bit of olive oil over the top, and this is just heaven on a plate here. A little bit of garlic just to kind of spread it on the bread, throw a little bit of pinch of salt over the top, and this is a simple tapas, which is what they call their small little plates. And we'll talk about that very shortly, but after this, they go into their second breakfast. Aren't they lucky? Which usually will consist of cookies, fruit, or yogurt. This is just kind of to hold you off until lunch. They'll have lunch around 2 o'clock, usually between 2 and 4, and this is where they're going to have their largest meal of the day. This is going to contain those substantial dishes that are super heavy, their roasts, their stews, their paellas, all of that stuff. And we can see a couple of different paellas here. This is what we're looking for from you guys. Look at how beautiful these look. Take a look at this. That is what I want to see when I grade your work as we go into that next assignment. Look at how beautiful this looks. Everything is layered out beautifully. We have some squid, and take a look at how these peppers are arranged nicely here. This one has a lot more seafood in it. And one of the things that I want you guys to take a look at is watch the water level on these things. The water is under all of these products. Water level under all of these products. We can see it a little bit here. Your paella is going to be just a little bit moist, but it should not be wet. There's a major difference between it being soupy and it being just a little bit moist, where you can still see every single grain of rice. You shouldn't be able to pick up liquid with it. So just keep that in mind as you do go into that. Again, water level below the rice. At the end of the day, while there's a lot of seafood on top of this, there's a lot of cool stuff. It's rice cookery, guys. Make sure that that rice is cooked all the way through. I just want to go ahead and emphasize that with this. So after they have their lunch, which usually will be between 2 and 4 p.m., they go into their merienda, which is between lunch and dinner. So they're like, you know what, I need a snack. So it's a light meal that consists of pastries and usually a drink. And then before they have dinner, they're like, you know what, let's go for some tapas, which are just going to be small little snacks, kind of finger food. And we have some pictures of that here. You can see this is all stuff that you can just go ahead and grab while you're just kind of hanging out at a bar or something. These people are going to be drinking a lot and they're going to be eating a lot. Sounds like Mexico. Wonder why. It's the massive influence there. But a lot of small finger foods. You can see a bunch of these guys here, just stuff that you're going to be able to eat in a single bite or 2 bites pretty much. We can see a couple of them over here. This one's got some prosciutto here, olive, a little bit of herb there. Kind of same thing over here. So these are what tapas are. And then they'll have their dinner. Usually around like 9 p.m. or so. So for me, that's way too late. I get stomach pains at night. I'm only 29, but I have the body of like a 62-year-old. If I eat too late, I cannot sleep anymore. So this meal structure wouldn't work for me. I'll be like, you know what? I'll have second breakfast and I'm out after that. But when we talk about tapas in Spain, think of them as canapes, just small little finger foods, tiny snacks, usually consisting of 2 or 3 ingredients or something like that. They're going to be served between that second snack and then their dinner. And then there is places that are just considered tapas restaurants over there. All they sell is this kind of finger food and alcohol. So they'll have a lot of items on the menu. It's a very social way of eating. It's going to be kind of a very similar way to what we have here in the US, which is bar hopping. These people go tapas hopping. So they're going to go from restaurant to restaurant, just kind of having small snacks in the evening, eating a few tapas at each stop with friends and family, and they're going to go to the next one and then the next one. And then in the south, which is the Andalusia region, you have tapas that can become a whole menu. Where in northern Spain, people will end up going home for dinner usually. So they'll go hang out, they'll have some drinks, they'll have some tapas, and then they'll go home for dinner. In the 19th century in Andalusia, they would put saucers with snacks over their wine glasses in taverns to kind of keep the flies off. So kind of think of it like my water bottle here. They would just kind of put this like this over the top, and that's where they would put the tapas on. So that's kind of how this whole thing started. So people were using it as a way to cover their wine glass, but they would just put food on it and just start eating from there, drink from their wine. And that's kind of how it became a thing. And what the bartenders and people realized was that by handing these people snacks, the drink sales increased. People were eating more, they were drinking more. And this is how tapas kind of became a thing. And you just have a lot of tapas restaurants over there. So some etiquette, there's an average of 1 bar for every 129 Spaniards. So what does that tell you guys? Somebody jump in and tell me something about these people.
They like to eat and celebrate.
They eat a lot, they drink a lot. So if we think back to the beginning here, we have 49 million people. So that is a lot of people, and 1 bar for every 129 of them. Lots of bars over there. So yeah, eating and drinking are a very important part of the culture here. It's pretty much an everyday thing over there. So bars and restaurants are places to meet friends and family for eating, drinking, socializing, and of course, watching soccer games. Huge thing there. I don't know if you guys pay attention at all, but Messi just left Barcelona. He's going to PSG. Great for me. I'm not a fan. I'm a Real Madrid fan. I'll let you guys know now. You guys can hate. But it's one of those things. With Cristiano leaving, with Messi leaving, there's not that giant rivalry anymore. So that's unfortunate. I wish Messi would have stayed. It creates a little bit more excitement to those games. But I love watching soccer as well. But tapas are often included in the price of the drinks. So they just kind of bring them out to you. As you order your drinks, that price of the tapas is already included. So it's a really cool way of just kind of not worrying about having to pay anything extra. You just continue to eat as long as you're drinking there. Mediterranean cuisine is considered just a super healthy diet, and it consists of fruits, vegetables, breads, pastas, rice, olive oil, garlic, seafood, meats, cheeses, and of course, a lot of wine. And as we talked about while we were looking at the map over here, the Mediterranean Sea and Mediterranean and Middle East, which is going to consist of this stuff over here, these people have influence in all of this over here, just because these boats that are in this region pretty much don't come out. They're just going to keep trading with all of these other places. So anything that you can find pretty much here, you'll find it here, you'll find it here, you'll find it here, you'll find it here, and vice versa. Anything here, you'll find it here, you'll find it here, you'll find it here. Just know that this Mediterranean area is just super, super well traded, I guess is the way to go about it. They trade a lot of stuff within each other, and you're just going to see that influence from everybody in each of these countries that we visit. I lost myself. Here we go. So while eating in Spain, we talk about this every single week, but the host will actually give the signal to start eating, and they're going to go ahead and say buen apetito, which is enjoy your meal. And you're going to notice that we've kind of covered this a couple of times. We were in Mexico, you say buen provecho. We were in France, you say bon appetit. Sorry, that's, yeah. And then Italy, you say buon appetito. So all of these have pretty much the exact same thing. Can anybody chime in and tell me why? What do the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Italian, and the French have in common? Does anybody know?
They all speak some sort of Spanish.
Close. They all come from Latin. So all four of those languages are languages that derive from the mother language Latin. So like we talked about mother sauces, there's mother languages as well. So Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and French are all going to sound very similar. And if you speak any of those four languages, it's going to be very easy for you to learn another one, as opposed to trying to learn like German, for example, which is completely different. So it's just something that's really cool. It's now a dead language, but it has left these daughter languages just kind of laying about. So at restaurants, don't invite your friends out, because you will be the one to pay. If you're the one that tells them, hey, let's go grab something to eat, that's on you now. And then when you're eating in a restaurant, you may actually end up sharing a table with another family. They're super social people. You'll sit down, they'll sit another family next to you, and you just gonna start talking with them. They're very, very social eaters. So they go out to meet people, not go out with their friends to just hang out with their friends. So it's a little bit different here. I'm not like that. I have my small group of friends, and everybody else can just keep to themselves. But when we talk about Spain, one of the things that we have to talk about, which is just huge, and it's kind of become a massive boom recently. It's a little bit more on decline now, but it revolutionized what was possible with culinary, and that's molecular gastronomy. So let me actually stop sharing real quick, and then I'll share once again, just so you guys can kind of see my face here. So molecular gastronomy, it's the scientific discipline that's concerned with physical and chemical transformations that occur during cooking. Basically, what does that mean? It basically means turning something and making it look like something it's not. So beginning in 1988, research teams were established in the field of molecular gastronomy at universities. So it's now something that you can study, which is just crazy to think about. And the countries that are doing this are France, the Netherlands, Ireland, Denmark, Italy, Spain, and the United States. And the number of such nations just continue to increase. There's more than 30 as of the early 21st century. So molecular gastronomy is something that you can now study in a university, which is just insane to think about, because it's all science-based. If you think about the stuff that's used for molecular gastronomy, you have laboratory filters, which are used for clarification, decanting tubes, which are used for skimming stocks, vacuum evaporators used for making extracts, siphons for foams, probes for emulsion, gelling agents such as sodium alginate, agar-agar, liquid nitrogen, all of these crazy things that you would not think to use with food. And there is one guy and his brother, which are basically kind of like, well, there's one guy that's considered the king or the godfather of molecular gastronomy, but he also had his brother with him who gets absolutely no credit, even though he was the one that was pretty much doing all of it in the restaurant industry. And that is Ferran Adria and Alberto Adria. And this is them right here. Let me share my screen with you guys once again. So this is Ferran. This is the guy that's just the brains behind the operation. And this guy's the manpower, the muscle, the guy that was pretty much doing everything that this other crazy guy was thinking about in the restaurant industry. So Ferran is this guy. This is kind of the main guy that you're always going to hear about. There's a really cool documentary on Anthony Bourdain going to El Bulli and talking to this guy. And they sit down, and it's just one of the most humbling, beautiful conversations you will ever hear. I would try to look it up and get it to you guys on the class page. It might have some profanity in it, and for that I apologize, but it's Anthony Bourdain. So what do you expect? But in the 21st century, many considered this guy over here on the left side to be just the best chef in the world. And this guy actually dropped out of school at 18. At 18 years old, he was like, you know what, the school stuff's not for me. He started as a dishwasher, joined the military and the Navy in 1982. Once he was getting out of the military, he took a 1-month internship at a restaurant called El Bulli. This restaurant was just your hole in the wall. Nobody knew about it. Nobody cared about it. It was just a small restaurant that he took a place at. He got hired as a line cook. 8 months later, he was the co-chef of the restaurant. So it took him 8 months to be pretty much part chef up there. He was basically 2 people. But within 3 years later, he became the sole chef de cuisine of this place. So it took him pretty much 3 years to go from dishwasher to chef de cuisine, which is very, very quick. But if you're putting in the hours, you can definitely go ahead and do it. What this guy says, one of his most famous quotes is, creativity is not copying. So in 1994, he was the co-owner of El Bulli, and he was pretty much the cogs that were turning, the cogs in his head were already turning, just kind of starting a culinary revolution. And it's just what he ended up doing was so insane. What he calls it is technique concept cuisine, in which he subjected potential ingredients to rigorous experiments and scientific analysis as a means to creating a novel dish that produced unexpected sensations. So what does that mean? Basically, this guy started just doing funky stuff to food. So one example is that he created culinary foam, and we can see it right here. I think I have a picture of it. Yeah, so right here, we have a foam right here, which is a white beam espuma. And the way this guy came up with the idea to make this is he started inflating tomatoes with a bicycle pump. So it's like, what? Yeah. So he just grabbed the bicycle pump and he was just inflating tomatoes and ended up making a foam out of it. It was kind of oozing out of one of the sides and it just foamed up, and he was starting to use that for plating. So something just crazy like that, right? Spherification, which is encapsulating liquids within gelatin. And you can see it right here. This is melon caviar. And you can pretty much do it with anything. You can do it with agar-agar. And what it's going to do is that it's going to just turn things into gel. So you can make anything you want look like caviar. You can take literally anything and use it as a garnish like that. So with that, El Bulli, the restaurant that he was now the chef de cuisine at, became a top rating, had the top rating of 3 stars from the Michelin guide. Right, so that is insane. To get 1 Michelin star is ridiculous. To get 2 is crazy. To get 3 is just pretty much unheard of. It's a crazy achievement. Not only that though, this guy took it a step further. He was like, yeah, 3 Michelin stars are cool, but what if I become the best restaurant in the world? And he did that in the year 2002. Lost it out in 2003 to 2005, but then he was like, you know what, I'm coming back with a vengeance. 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 4 years in a row, this guy was like, I'm gonna have the best restaurant in the world. And to do that, guys, is just insane. The standard that you have to follow for 4 consecutive years. Anybody can do it for a single year. If you put your mind to it, you can do anything within a year, but to stay consistent for 4 years, from your chef de cuisine all the way down to your dishwashers, pretty much. Everybody needs to be on the same page for this. You cannot have any mistakes occur. And this guy did it 4 years in a row on top of his 2002 showing, right? So that is, so let's actually talk about some of the stuff here. Don't know too much about it, but this right here, this first one is a chicken curry. So this ice cream here in the center is actually the chicken. And then this stuff over here on the side is the curry sauce. So you got to turn ice cream into what looks to be, turn chicken into what looks to be like ice cream or something. You have the melon caviar, which is done through spherification. You have chocolate and raspberry coral. And this down here is a gazpacho. So he turned a traditional soup into just a beautiful plate. And then just kind of textured vegetables. So there's all kinds of stuff here. There's some kind of crunchies, as well as just all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't even know what it is. But that's kind of the fun of it. You can take something and make it look like something completely different. We're going to call it there for now, and we'll go into the regionality during the study hall. But does anybody have any questions so far on any of this cuckoo stuff? The restaurant is closed now, by the way, guys, unfortunately. No, you guys are all set. All right, and so let's go ahead and call this. So thank you guys for coming. I know it's a little bit of crazy stuff going on here with this molecular gastronomy stuff, but as you guys go out into the industry, you guys will start seeing a lot more of this, and you can see it now. You can even start doing it in your own home. There's a lot of kits. I actually have one right behind me here. I can just, yeah. I don't know if you guys can see it. Maybe if I stand up. Yeah. So it's kind of a molecular gastronomy kit. It comes with all kinds of cool stuff in it, and it's like $40 on Amazon. So if you guys want to give some of this stuff a shot, it gives you all of the instructions and stuff in there. It's pretty cool. But remember, guys, assignment is due Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. CST. If you guys have any questions for us, feel free to reach out to us. We're always willing to help you guys out. And as we stated earlier, we do have that document where if you need to scale down these recipes to about half, we can send that to you. So if costs are an issue, if even sourcing ingredients is an issue, some of these things we can always leave out. Reach out to us, let us know. I don't want you to be like, Chef, I didn't make the assignment because I couldn't find coriander. We can do without the coriander, guys. Things like that. Just talk to us. We're here for you guys. And as always, have yourselves a wonderful week. Chef?
Couldn't say it better. Let's hop into study hall, and thanks again, class. See you there.
All right, so good night.